It's a huge honor today to be podcast interviewing Lance McCollough. Wasn't there a famous movie star, McCollough? Was that the kid in Home Alone or something?
I don't know. People often get me confused with McCollough chainsaws, but it's different spelling.
Right? Was that the McCollough in the Home Alone?
Macaulay. I think you're thinking Colin Macaulay or something like that.
Oh, he was an adorable kid in those movies. So Lance McCollough developed the first turnkey website solution for the professional marketplace at the beginning of the dot-com era and has helped thousands of professionals with internet marketing. Growing his accounting firm in the 90s, Lance caught the internet wave while trying to market his practice online. What followed were two wildly successful internet ventures, ExecuSite, acquired by Wolters Kluwer in 2001, and ProSites, recognized on the Inc. 5000 list of America's fastest-growing companies and the Deloitte Technology Fast 500. Most importantly to Lance, however, is the admiration of over 14,000 happy clients and over 100 cheerful employees. And I wanted to get you on the podcast because I wanted to ask you or tell you congratulations for winning the Townie Choice Award.
Yeah, we're really excited about that. When you get recognized, 4 years in a row for financial strength on the Inc. 5000, then you get, on the Deloitte Technology Fast 500, higher on the list than Google that year. That's great. But the Townie Choice Award, that's the best, Howard. I'm not telling you this to make you feel good. We really appreciate it because it's voted on by your readers, and your readers are like more than readers. Okay, they're participants, and so it's kind of a testament to like, hey, ProSites, they're doing great, they're delivering the results, and anyways, we celebrated throughout the office being voted #1 website design and internet marketing firm. So it's a big honor.
Well, market share information means a lot less in the B2C world, like when they're voting on which movie is better. And I remember one year E.T. beat Gandhi. It's like, okay, well, that's market share. More people are into E.T. than Mahatma Gandhi, But when your market share is among dentists, and they all have 8 years of college, and they all know math and physics and chemistry and all, that's a hard group to fool. And you can get 1,000 dentists to buy something, but you're not going to get 2,000. And that's what I tell. Like you could launch any product in dentistry and find 1,000 idiots to buy it, but you're not going to get 2,000 of them, 10,000. You're not going to get 150,000. So when some people say, "Well, Townie Choice Award is just market share information," yeah, market share amongst doctors, it's a. And when I look through those Townie Choice Award winners, my homies are smart. They call it right. So my question to you is, what? The bottom line is a dentist wants to do a root canal. I want to pull a wisdom tooth. I don't want to. I didn't go to school 8 years to do online marketing and websites and all that stuff. So, how do you get dentists to switch from root canal filling crown mode to what do I need to know about online marketing? Because I definitely want new patients. I can't put out a fire unless one walks in my front door. My fantasy is the toothache. I want to see some guy walking through my front door holding his face and been up all night. And sure. That's what I live for. I want to fix that. I wasn't born to do internet marketing to find these people. So what do we need to know?
Yeah, well, so my experience, the way I got started on this was, my background is I'm a CPA. And so many of your readers, the doctors that are out there, I had my own business. I still do. But back in those days, I was just getting my start. I had my own accounting firm. Same situation, dentistry, accounting, same thing. Accountants want patients. Accountants want clients, and doctors want patients. So it's the same thing. We're trying to get more business, and nobody was really helping us to do that. And I wasn't a website expert at the time, so I put together a solution that made it easy for accountants at the time to find new clients. And so when I built that company up, we eventually got acquired by what was similar to like a Henry Schein in the accounting world, right? It was a company called CCH Incorporated. And so, I knew that I wanted to continue this quest, if you will, because I really enjoy what I'm doing. It's much more exciting than accounting. And so I looked at, what market could use the most help. And when I looked at the dental industry, everybody was still doing websites the old-fashioned way. If you wanted to make a change to your website, you had to call in or fill out a form and fax it into your webmaster. And having already built sort of a turnkey website solution, it was really, at the time, it was the first website editor in the professional marketplace. I mean, they had GeoCities for the public masses, but it was garbage. And I said, wow, nobody in the dental industry has a website editor. And so I took, my years of knowledge on my prior company and built the proverbial better mousetrap. Okay, so when we launched, it was in May of 2005. It was at the Discus Dental Extravaganza in Vegas. There was about 30 exhibitors there, and 7 were website providers. And they had never seen anything like us. We were swarmed. And because for the first time, we gave doctors or their staff if they wanted, but we gave them the control of their website. They now had the keys. They weren't held hostage by a website developer. And so we were kind of like a disruptor, like we did for the dental website industry what Uber did for the, taxis, right? And so the key is, getting back to your original comment, is that, doctors, I mean, they're doing implants, they're, doing teeth whitening, they're, applying, doing bridges and things like that. They don't have time to learn about, meta tags and title tags and H1 tags and JavaScript, HTML5. All that stuff, is a mystery for most of them, right? So they come to a company like us and they just say, hey, look, I need help. I know that I want to attract patients online. I want to continue to grow my practice. And the smart ones don't look at it just as trying to grow their practice and get new patients. Super important, of course, but don't forget about your current patients, right? So you want to educate them. And so when I'm lecturing around the country, what I'll tell doctors is I say, your website showcases what you can provide, the services and treatments that you can provide your patients, okay? And the fact of the matter is, this is estimate, but I'm guessing probably 90% of patients don't know all that their doctor can do for them. They may think, they may categorize them, we use the term drill and fill, right? They may think, well, I just go in for cleanings and I hope I don't have any cavities. But, when they start looking on your website and they see things about, gum disease and, signs and symptoms, they might say, wow, I didn't know that if I had some quote unquote pink in the sink, blood, or if my gums are bleeding, that could be a sign of, an underlying problem, right? So having that content on your website is really going to help the doctors. And so, they come to us and they want to grow their practice. They also want to educate their current patients. And so, their website has to be, it's kind of like the visual representation of their practice. And so it has to, number one, if you say like Lance, like what's website 101, right? It better look good. So that's the number one thing. It's got to look good. And though our parents taught us not to judge a book by its cover, guess what? Everybody, every day, judges a book by its cover. So, the website's got to look good. It's got to have patient-focused content, okay? Content is also important for SEO. We can always talk about that as well. But content is critical for the patients because that's, they're going to the website. They're going there to find out about, dentistry, things that they're thinking about that they need. And then, of course, you have to have the normal things like your hours, contact information, and stuff like that so that they can get in touch with you.
When I got out of school, it was the birth of the desktop PC, and the big names today were Intel and Microsoft and Dell and all that stuff. And now we keep reading that now Google won't even index your website unless it's a mobile website or something. Because now the market is over half has gone to a smartphone, which didn't exist when I got out of dental school. So what are your thoughts about a website on how it looks on your iPhone versus at work or home on your big desktop?
Sure. So, like when I'm lecturing, another thing that I mentioned to the doctors is that, having a mobile site is not your desktop site loading on a mobile phone. That's not going to, to work. Okay, so you have to have it optimized, for lack of a better word. You got to have the text has to be readable. If you bring
That's the problem with searching on your iPhone, because half the sites you go to, whether it's a restaurant or whatever, the text is too small. So that's what it is. When you see a restaurant and you pull it up on iPhone and you can't read it unless you're taking your thumbs and pulling it apart,
pinch and zoom.
pinch and zoom. So
All right.
that's what they're doing. That's a desktop website that just is
Yeah, so
uploading on their iPhone.
yeah, that's a desktop website, loading on an iPhone, and it's not just iPhone, right? It could be Android, it could be a tablet and stuff like that. So you want to have the text be readable, right? And not just readable in the font size. You have to have good color contrast, because if you think about it, where are people using their mobile phones a lot? They're using it outside, and so they're out in the sun. They got the sun beating down on their phone, and we've all experienced that, right, where it's hard to see stuff. And so you want to make sure that you have a good color contrast in the text. You want to make sure you have thumb friendly buttons. Okay, the navigation critical on a mobile site. I always like to say that on the internet, people have the attention span of a fly. Well, it's worse than that with a mobile site. If your site is not easy to navigate, and if it doesn't load fast, quick loading time is another key feature of a mobile site. They will hit that back arrow just as fast as can be, and they'll leave your site.
Okay, you're www.prosites.com, PROSITES.
Yes.
What do you? I mean, this is Dentistry Uncensored. What do you exactly charge, and what do you exactly do? Are you build a website from scratch, or do you make a website for PC and mobile? Tell us what you charge and what exactly you do.
So yeah, the pricing could depend on the needs of the doctor, because we'll tailor things to their exact needs. But we can do both adaptive mobile sites and responsive mobile sites. There's pros and cons to each of them, but typically when someone wants a custom mobile site, if they want us to create a mobile site that's not separate in the sense of the content, but separate in the sense of the look to their desktop site, that'll run about $695. But really now with responsive sites,
$695.
yeah, it's a one-time fee.
Okay, for the
but
adaptive site.
yes, and for responsive, it's now free. So if someone's with Pro Sites and they pick one of our responsive styles, or if we create a responsive custom site for them, then it automatically adjusts itself to fit whatever device they're using, whether it's the desktop, iPad, iPhone, Android, tablet, whatever. So,
And what is your average client? Why does the average client call you? Do they want all this from scratch? Are they calling you up saying, I don't have a website, desktop or mobile, or are they calling you up because they have one and they don't think it's working, whether that's not SEO or
right.
it's like the looks of it? Talk,
Yeah.
and tie that into why you think you won the Townie Choice Award. I mean,
Right.
how did you please my homies when they are some of the most? My God, they're a tough crowd to please.
Yeah, they're a vocal bunch too.
You
So
think?
it could be positive or negative, right?
Oh
So
my God! I mean, someone last night posted the most beautiful implant case I'd ever seen in my life, and sure enough, it's just they're just nitpicking, drilling down, little this, little that. I just want to log on and say, really,
right.
really? I bet the lady walked out of there and cried and had a heart attack and danced all the way home.
Sure.
But my homies are like, I would have done this, I would have done that, But yeah, they're a hard group to please.
Yeah, so it's changed a little, right? So when we launched, the majority of doctors did not have a website, so it was a new thing for them. And I would say that in my estimation, it seemed like dentistry was probably a few years behind some of the other industries, like the accounting industry and the law industry with regards to internet marketing. Okay, don't know why that is. We helped to change that, right? So in the beginning, it was like they didn't have a website. 75% of them didn't have a website. Today, I would say easily 45+% of the doctors who come to us are coming from another provider. They already have a website and it's just not working for them. And there's a host of reasons why it's not working for them. They don't have proper SEO. It's not mobile friendly, and then they don't know if it's working. I mean, look, some of the onus needs to be on the doctor and the practice to try and track, where patients are coming from. I don't know that all of them do a great job of asking that question. The smart ones do, but not all of them do. And so you get a lot of doctors that they don't think that their website's working. And when we look at it, we'll do an analysis of it, and we can, usually you can clearly see the problems. For example, so when I search for, Phoenix dentist, and I'm looking and I'm trying to find your site, I found your site, but one of the things that was missing of your site, and this is probably a part of the reason why you might be on page 5, you don't have what's called the Sitemaps Protocol. So this is very important for your doctors out there.
Is this for my dental office, todaysdental.com?
Todaysdental.com, yeah.
Will
you get a 404 error, Howard. You got to come to ProSites, man. I'll hook you up.
Well, actually, our team has been we've been talking about this a long time.
So let me explain what this is, because this is really.
Will you email me this analysis at howard@dentaltown.com?
Absolutely. And just so your doctors know, what I'm talking about, it's really easy to find out if you have it. If you go to your website, okay, so in your case, it's, todaysdental.com. All you have to do is put / after your domain name and then type sitemap.xml. And what you should see is a page, I don't know if you can see this, but it looks like this. Okay, and basically it's not meant for human consumption. It's meant for the search engines. And what it is it's a bunch of XML code that spoon feeds the search engines every page that's on your website. Okay, because in the old days, what would happen is the robots, the spiders, the crawlers, whatever you want to call them, they would just scour the internet and they would pop into a website and maybe follow a link, and then they leave. And that's still going on today. But back in 2005, Google introduced this concept called the Sitemaps Protocol. And what it is it's a listing in search engine form, okay, what they want to see, exactly what they want to see. These are all the pages of my site so that they can index it properly. And that helps you get found. And all the search engines adopted it. Yahoo, Microsoft Bing, everybody. And so it's a standard that's been out there for years, and it's amazing. I won't say who did your website, but it's amazing.
No, you could say it's
no.
You know what I mean?
No,
it's
I won't.
Dentistry Uncensored.
No. I meant who did your todaysdental.com website?
Yeah. But I'm saying my podcast is Dentistry Uncensored. It's CareStream, and no, not CareStream. That's my CBCT. It's
Sesame.
Sesame Communications.
So I mean, again, look, I understand why they didn't update your site, and this goes back to the beginning of dental websites. A lot of the players, established players in the industry, they did websites, like I said earlier, the old-fashioned way. What ProSites introduced to the market was the first content management system for dental websites. And what that means is, and I don't want to get too technical or wonky on you, but our websites are database-driven, okay? And that gives us a great power. What we can do is when new technologies changes in search engine algorithms, the iPhone, for example, blocking flash. When any of that stuff comes out, we're able to, at the code level, fix things and then push it out to our doctors, okay? And they didn't even know there was a problem. So the Sitemaps Protocol came out, like I said, back in 2005. When I saw that, I said, hey, team, this is going to be very important. I mean, in fact, this is actually going to help our doctors get their sites indexed. We got to fix this. We did it. We pushed it out. And I think it obviously it's taken years for some of the other providers out there to go back and update all their old client websites because they got to do it one by one. It's a manual process.
I want to ask you a question. I hear dentists say all the time on Dental Town is that we know that would be important if you're like Howard and lived in Phoenix, or there's 3,800 dentists, but I'm in a small town. I'm in Parsons, Kansas, so SEO is not important in rural. That's only important in urban, in towns over 100,000. Is that true or false?
I think that's false. And there's a couple reasons why. So are the people in that, small town, are they searching for stuff on the internet? Yes.
Yes.
Are they looking for things locally? Yes. Okay. We already know this. 98% of people who use their phones are looking for local businesses and local products and stuff like that. So it absolutely, matters, and it's false to say that they don't need it. And the other thing too is when you do a Google search, let's say you have somebody in, Podunk, city or whatever, right? Okay, and they could be the
Okay,
only.
we'll say some podunk, Temecula, California.
I normally say Frog Nuts, Alabama, but I don't know.
Where is Temecula? Where are you at? Where's Temecula?
Temecula is in Riverside County. We are
Okay,
just north of San Diego, and we're kind of like sort of in between Orange County and San Diego.
it's by
It's wine
Riverside.
country out here, so we're surrounded by vineyards.
Right on.
So the thing is, what was my trail of thought here on? I lost.
A great interviewer like me will interrupt you so many times
That's okay.
you won't even know why you're here today.
Oh, I remember what it was.
Okay.
So real quick, this is very important. So like when you go and do a search, so for example, if you typed in, small city dentist and hit enter, right? Whatever that city was, dentist, hit enter. How many results does Google give you?
40 million.
Exactly. Well, guess what? There's not 40 million dentists in, the entire world, right? Well, why is that? Because Google's not, I mean, I love Google, believe me, but it's not as smart as people think that it is. If it was really, truly smart, it'd say, well, here's the one guy or the gal, because they're the only dentist in this town. They don't know. And so they're going off of a lot of things, the words on pages, keywords, tags. They got hundreds of pieces to their algorithm that they try and keep secret. But so yeah, it does matter. You could still be the only doctor in town, but if you're not found, you're not found. I mean, it's not that
Okay.
found.
When I tell you this, you're not going to believe me, but
Go ahead.
I just got to tell you it's true. There's four types of dentists. There's the older ones from the greatest generation. There's baby boomers like me. There's Generation X, millennials. A lot of young millennials say, well, I don't need a website SEO because I do everything I need on Facebook. Can my Facebook page be is it a substitute for a website?
No.
And I also want to add that when you leave the United States, like when you go to like Albania and Montenegro and a lot of other countries, it's like I'd say half the dentist, outside of the United States only use Facebook for their dental practice page. Is that a substitute or not really? Why do I have a Facebook page and a website?
Yeah, so it's not a substitute for numerous reasons, but for one, when you think of where do people go to look for things now. The 800-pound gorilla is Google, right? I mean, some people go to Bing, some people still go to Yahoo, but they go to Google, all right? They do go to Facebook as well, but overwhelmingly people go to Google, right? And so when they search on Google, Google doesn't really they focus more on websites, and they focus a lot on local search, right? So they used to call it the the 7-pack. Now it's called the snack pack. You'll notice when you do a search for local businesses, they'll show like a few listings, and they'll have like the map listings, and they'll have like how many reviews and 5-star reviews they had and stuff like that. That's all part of Google Plus or Google Local or Google My Business. They keep changing the darn name. But the point is, that's what's showing up actually above the number one organic listing on Google. Okay? So before, if you were number one on Google, you'd be throwing a party. Well, technically today, you could be number one in the organic or the free listings of Google, right? And yet you could still be below the fold on the page because they list the map listings first. And that's not Facebook. That's Google Maps, or Google My Business. So another thing doctors want to do is they want to claim their local listing. Okay. Now,
Did I do that?
did you do it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to Google it and check.
Will,
I
will,
hope
will you will you do all that to mine because my podcasts are free? I make my money. I feed my family at Today's Dental.
dentistry.
Yeah, this is my crazy hobby.
Well, you know what? So when I pulled up your site and I was looking for it, and when I pulled it up and I saw that you didn't have the Sitemaps protocol, I thought, man, I got to talk to Howard. And so I'm gonna Google you. I'm gonna look for you on the local listings, see if it's been claimed, if it's been optimized. There's a whole process that you have to go through. We do that for our clients, and I will have one of my website advisors.
Now, do I need to do this for the Dental Town site too? Because the thing about Dental Town, so many people always say, "Man, I can't believe you got 210,000 dentists on Dental Town."
See,
And
look at that. Look at that, Howard.
Yeah.
That's bad. You know what that is? That's a 404 error. That says page could not be found. I went to Dental Town as well, and I looked for the Sitemaps protocol, and it was missing. Now, this is not a knock on you by any means. This drives home the point that doctors they don't have time to know all this stuff, and I don't profess to be an oral surgeon, right? So but their webmasters should be, right? It's very helpful if you can have that Sitemaps protocol on your website. For example, you think of all the pages that you have on your site. When people go to you hear people use the phrase, I'm going to search the internet. Nope, you're not searching the internet. What you're doing is you're searching Google's snapshot of only what they've indexed. The internet's probably 10 to 100 times bigger than what Google has in their index. And that's why you get different results when you search on Microsoft Bing, Yahoo, and Google, right? Because it's only what they've indexed. Well, if that's the case, don't you want them to index every page of your site? Don't you want a bigger net, if you will, to catch more, the analogy fish, but patients? Absolutely.
That's so ironic that you're an accountant because I became a dentist because I didn't have enough personality to become an accountant, and I decided I was going to be funny since hot was not an option. But hey, I want you to give my homies some homework right now. So my fans are driving to work right now. They got an hour commute.
Sure.
I want you to give them specific things because you're showing me my 401k error. I want you to go through, give them some things so that when they get to work, they can take their smartphone, they can take their desktop, and you can give them a checklist of things to check so they just know if this is something they need to worry about or if they're all good in that area, and then go back to taking a course on root canals.
So I can actually do one better because there's like way too many things, but I'll touch on a couple of them here. But if they go to prosites.com/MYPO, as in marketing your practice online. So prosites.com/MYPO. They can download PowerPoints of my 100+ slide decks of my lectures that I do.
Well, dude, why don't you make an online CE course? You've been a Townie since 2005. You've been a Townie for a decade and a year. Why don't you make a course out of that?
I love that. We should talk about that.
And you
can help me. You can help me develop. Your team can help me develop a course for your site, and we can help improve your website.
Because what you can do with the PowerPoint, you can upload that right into the online CE, then call the phone and do a voiceover and go through your PowerPoint and just do your lecture like that. But the one reason I'd want you to do that is because you know how some of your friends always read the book and some of your friends always see the movie.
Sure.
The people who do online CE aren't necessarily the ones doing all the podcasts. So you're talking to the what I call the multitaskers now, the ones that are only doing this because they don't want to listen to the radio on the way to work. And the online CE people are the evening people on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays that are taking online CE course on Dental Town. And we've had over 500,000 views on our 350 courses. So yeah, if you got a PowerPoint presentation, I think everyone after they've been a Townie for 11 years should put up at least one course.
Sure. Yeah, no, I have I have pretty big decks for my. I cover a lot of ground in my lectures, but some of the things.
But back to the home. Oh, okay, so you're saying if they want to know if their website's working, go to prosites.com/MYPO, which stands for Marketing Your Practice Online.
Yeah.
And you got 100 PowerPoints where you could read through that to see
I
if
probably have about a dozen PowerPoints, but they have 100 pages. They have 100 slides in the deck. And so I put them in a PDF so that they can download it. I mean, it'd be way too big for them to, to email to anybody. So here's some of the, look, I'll speak to some of the low-hanging fruit things that your doctors can do. To see if they have problems. We already touched on the Sitemaps protocol. Do that. Bring up your website. Put /sitemap.xml after your domain name.
Say it slower, your website /
Yeah, whatever your website address is, like after the .com, put /sitemap period XML. And what you should see.
And what's XML stand for? Oh, that's the code, right?
Extensible markup language.
Okay.
It's like a code.
Okay.
It's a technical term, but the point is they'll see a bunch of what might look to them just like a mess of random code. It's not meant for the public to see. They won't see it because it's not a button on your website. But the search engines go there first. You're spoon feeding them all the info, and then like us, what we do is we actually submit that to the search engines. We don't wait for the search engine spiders or robots to happenstance come across your website. We're going to make sure they see it immediately. The other things that you can do is look at your title tags. So here's what a title tag is. If you look at your website or you look at any page in a browser, okay, normally up at the top, it'll have some wording on the browser bar, not in the page, but on the browser client itself, okay? And when you go to bookmark a page and save it in your favorites, that title tag is what the description is when they save it, okay? So you wanna look at your title tags, and time again, when we get new doctors coming to us, we'll look at their website. Why was it not working? Well, their title tag for their homepage was home. I mean, it was the word home. Well, the title tag's very important for SEO, right? And because it's kind of like when you remember back when we were in school, we handed in a report to our teacher, we had the title of the report. Told you what that page was about, what that report is about, right? Well, it's the same thing with websites. And if it just says home, well, maybe that's great if someone was searching for home on the internet, but if they're looking for, let's say a Temecula dentist, okay, maybe your title on your homepage should be Temecula dentist. You know what I mean?
How are my title tags?
I have to look at that. I didn't analyze the site. I was just looking to see, why it was showing up on page 5, and then so I looked at a couple things.
If you're on a dentist website and you right click an image to save to your desktop, sometimes the image will say X153, just a bunch of jumble mumble.
Sure.
But sometimes it'll say Lance McCollough, root canal number 13. I'm sitting there thinking, does that patient know that picture is being saved in the page? What?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up.
Does saving a patient's name on your website does that help your SEO? I mean, if I put a picture on my Today's Dental website and I called the picture Howard Farran DDS in Phoenix, Arizona, Ahwatukee, would that help my SEO too, or not really?
Yes, no. So pictures and videos absolutely do help you for SEO because Google has what? An image search, right? So people go there, hundreds of millions of people, you look at that every day. What you were talking about was the file name. So the worst thing that you can do is put the patient's name in the file name, right?
Dude, I see it all the time.
Yeah, because then you're going to be, violating HIPAA, right? So that could get you in hot water. The next worst thing you can do is just any photo that you upload, you use the default file name from your camera, which will be like DCX, 4038, right? Which means nothing. So we tell our doctors to do, and what we do when we're uploading, we upload photos for our doctors for free. When we do that, we'll try and give it a descriptive name. We'll name the file, like if it was dental implant, we would put, photo of dental implant, right? Google likes that. They don't want you to keyword stuff, so you can't get crazy. You can't put like Newport Beach dental implants for patients, .jpg. That would be like a little over the top.
I think it's so hilarious. I have a friend of mine who's an orthodontist, and he put up these pictures, and he sent me a link. He said, "Look, check out this case up on my website." And he's got the patient's eyes blocked out with a bar.
Right.
But if you right-click the photo, there's the patient's name.
Yeah, no. I mean, look, what you should do is always get a release, okay? I mean, we have a simple release form that we give doctors, like cuz we have a smile gallery, which is very important, right? Cuz people do love to see before and after photos. I mean, that's a real draw for people on the web. So, get a release from the patient, and you really don't need to show their whole face. Some do. I mean, that's fine, but you could just show, their mouth. I still wouldn't, even if you had a release, I wouldn't use the patient's name, because the internet public doesn't need to know their name. They just need to know that, hey, this is your work. This is a patient that you did work. Look at the before, look at the after. Isn't that great?
Well, I think you said something at the very beginning of this that I never hear anyone talking about. I mean, everybody thinks of their website to attract a new patient.
Mm-hmm.
But you opened up with your website needs to focus on existing patients coming back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, they're both
And no one
important. They're
talks
two
about
sides
that.
of the coin because, I mean, how much more business, production can you have if you had content on your website for your current patients? Again, they might see things that you're doing and not know that, wow, I didn't know that you did that. So, it's very important. The other thing too is think about, having conversion mechanisms that can help them with, referring to you. A lot of people, they don't think of their website per se as a referral tool. I certainly do. This is, again, something I lecture about. I tell doctors, I say, look, you're loved by your patient. Most patients, most doctors, they have patients that hug them, right? You all have that. Okay, now nobody hugs their attorney, right? But something about dentists, patients really like, right? So you're a likable bunch, but they're not going to remember your phone number. Okay, they're just not, unless it's 1-800 great dentist or something like that. It's going to be very hard for them to remember that. So if Sally's out to lunch with Barbara and she's saying, oh, I just got a dental implant, or oh my gosh, your teeth look so good, oh, I got them whitened, or I've been using Invisalign with my doctor, well, what's his number or what's her number? I'll give her a call. It's like, oh, I don't know, but call me and then I'll give it to you. Well, guess what? You just lost an opportunity for a referral. But if they know that it's, todaysdental.com, right? Because you put that on your business cards, you put that on your, your voicemail and stuff like that, they can remember a domain name. If it's simple. Again, if you get too long of a domain name, well, then you're probably out of luck. But that's why, we always tell doctors, try and keep it, short and sweet. Like some doctors will say, well, can I use my name? Well, yeah, but it might be smarter. Like, for example, we have a client, wonderful girl, Dr. Zaraxidae, right? Well, try and spell that. I mean, I know how to spell it, but not a lot of people know how to spell it. And she said, what should I do? And I say, well, what do your patients call you? And she said, well, they call me Dr. Z. I go, well, there you go. So maybe you just go with like something like Smiles by Dr. Z or drzee.com, right? Keep it simple, and then they can remember it. And that's the kind of thing that you want to do. And I know that some people get a little too caught up in, well, don't I want to have keywords in my domain name? I don't know how much it really helps. Some people swear by it. I don't think so. I can give you a number one example. If you do a Google search, okay, for books, okay, Barnes & Noble comes up number 4 on the list, and they own books.com, okay? So I would focus on your brand in your domain name and keeping it short and sweet, so it passes the radio test, easy to remember, and not worried about, getting, Newport Beach Cosmetic Dentistry.com. And I don't know that may be someone's website out there. I don't know them. I'm just saying that's kind of a mouthful, right? Keep it short and sweet.
And a shout out to Barnes & Noble. They picked up my book in 119 stores. Uncomplicated Business, How to Manage People, Time, and Money.
Yeah, and I saw that, and I was very, very impressed that you had a recommendation there, a testimonial by Harvey Mackay, who's one of my all-time business heroes.
Oh, yeah. He lectured at my MBA classes at Arizona State University, and he still he had lunch with my sister Shelley's husband, Gary, last week. He's still phenomenal tennis player, phenomenal athlete. I mean, he's just a class act guy from A to Z. One of the coolest guys ever.
We're friends on LinkedIn. We're connected on LinkedIn. I like him. I've met him a couple times. Got a couple autographs of his books. I quote "Swim with the Sharks" at least once a month in my life. It's my favorite book of all time. And gosh, back in the day. Before CRM, customer relationship management, actually became a big thing. This is back in the days of ACT and Goldmine. I don't know if you remember those contact systems. He had his own called Sharkware, and it didn't last. I don't know, maybe the company that was managing it for him. But I will tell you, to this day, I still look back and I think, man, that was the best contact management system ever, because what they had in it was the Mackay 66. And I don't want to get off on a tangent for your listeners, but I'll tell you, all of you listening, if you have not read the book, Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive, and Howard's book, you got to get them both. So,
and what was so genius about him, as he so eloquently taught us in MBA school, is that he sold the ultimate commodity. It was white envelopes. I mean, how do you differentiate yourself when everybody sells a white envelope? So he had the Mackay 66 that every time a salesman called someone, okay, you're calling Lance McCollough. The first time you meet him, try to grab like his that he graduated from University of Southern California. Try to get his wife's name, kid's name, and after you keep calling this, that by the time you got all 66 personal build a relationship, not build a tooth. And as soon as you got that whole list filled out, he was probably buying envelopes from you.
Yeah, and this is something. So, like, look, I also speak to my own team, right? And one of the things I've tried to instill in them is that, they're not buying a ProSites website, from ProSites. They're buying a website from you. And so our internet marketing consultants, right, advisors, they develop a relationship with the people that they're talking to, and they really try and understand, what does the doctor need, listening to the pain points. They write that stuff down, and then they try and formulate, a plan to help them do better. And I'll tell you, we get a lot of people. I'm not on the phone as much as I used to be, right? In the old days when, today I have about 140 employees. Back in the old days when I had like 5, 10, I answered the phone a lot. And again, one of the things that I did was I instilled in my staff, listen to what the doctor's saying, try and give them information, try and educate them, because it matters. And time again, I'd have people say, Lance, I've talked to several people, and you're the only guy that I can trust. I feel like you're really telling me the truth. And that's because I also told them, maybe what we couldn't do, or what we, don't think is a good idea. Like we don't cut corners. Like even when we're doing SEO, we're not doing the black hat techniques. We're not, putting white text on a white background or 6-point font. We're not doing all link farms. We always have to have that integrity, and that shows, the customer that you care, and then they trust you. And we don't even have contracts. We don't have contracts with any of our website clients. They can fire us at any time. And, we've been doing this for a long time. And part of that, I guess that's, just the trust in delivering. It's like if we're really delivering, we're taking good care of them, then they'll stay with us. And a lot of this concepts I've learned from Harvey. So good, wonderful gentleman.
I thought that was interesting how you said you don't cut corners. Wendy's founder, Dave Thomas, the reason he went with a square patty, so everyone knows, is he didn't cut any corners. That's why he did that.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
We're going with a square powder because when you cut the circle, you lose some beef,
right?
and he just cut it in a square, and he said, "We're going with it. We're getting the whole square because at Wendy's we don't cut any corners."
Yeah, you know the square. My girls, my wife and my three girls, for whatever reason, I like Wendy's. They will not go to Wendy's. The square patty freaks them out for some reason. I don't know why.
So of that 140 employees, what percent of your business is just dentist or dental?
So we have two divisions in our company. We have Pro Sites, which is about I'd say about 195 of our employees are on the pro site side, which is medical and dental, dental being our primary market. And then we have another company, a sister company called CPA Site Solutions in Vermont, and that focuses on the accounting marketplace. So they do the same great service for accountants that ProSites does for dentists.
Which is your original profession, accountants?
Yeah, so funny story there. So I started the accounting industry, the website, not the accounting industry, but the websites for accountants, that industry. I was the first, and CPAS, or as we call it, CPA Site Solutions, came after us, and then a whole host of other ones. And here we are today, and I'm now CEO of that company that used to be my competitor.
So you bought them?
So we're owned by a large, well-respected private equity firm called the Riverside Company, and so they acquired both CPA Site Solutions and ProSites, and I'm still, I'm running both and having a great time. So
You're an amazing man. So let's get back. I don't got you much longer. It's already
sure.
I only got you for it's 46 minutes. I only got you 14 minutes. Any more advice? I just like to get her done. Any more advice if you're driving to work and your you're driving with your spouse, or you walk in the office, pull up your smartphone. Any more things that could be more red flags? Because I know what I don't want them to do is brush it under the cover if this is hurting them on their SEO, their new patients.
Yeah, sure.
Any other things come to mind?
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm not smart enough to know the questions. When dentists are calling you and you're talking about, what are their pain points? When dentists are calling you, what's keeping them up at night?
Well, the number one thing is that they're not getting any new patients,
So new
right?
patients is a big deal.
Yeah, well, I mean that's look, they're business people, right? So I mean that is the at the top of the food chain is for their website anyways is they want new patients, and then they
They need new patients because they didn't do the McKay 66 and keep all their existing patients.
right.
So many of their existing patients
Yeah,
have
they're going
gone
to have
out.
some attrition too, right?
Yeah.
So they come to us for that, and so what happens is they don't feel that their website is working for them, and so what we have on our end, we have what's called ProSites ROI, and this is kind of unique. We can actually prove that their website and the marketing that we're doing for them is working. So whether it's their website and patients filling out the appointment request form or the smile analysis page that we have, which is a great lead capturing tool. We have dental videos, and they should have dental videos as well. But I mean, like with us, we don't just have a dental video player. Our dental video player always ends each video with a contact form. And they can also email that video link to a friend. So you got to have those conversion features, right? So that's important. But getting back to the results part of this, which is really important to us, it's proving measurable practice growth. ProSites ROI can track phone calls, people coming to your website, filling out forms. If you're doing Google AdWords or PPC, as it's called, we can track all of that all the way down to production. Okay, it actually interfaces, connects with your practice management system, all the biggies. Okay, and you can now see, well, hey, I'm spending this much money on Google AdWords, and lo and behold, I've spent a few $1,000s over the last year, and I've done $65,000 in production. Guess what? Keep doing Google AdWords, right? If you were running a print ad, for example, or say you were doing a direct mail campaign, which many doctors do. I get them in the mail all the time. Okay, well, is that phone number a tracking phone number? It should be. And in our case, when we do stuff for doctors, we'll use the tracking phone number. And again, because our system, through artificial intelligence, can listen to the caller, it will keep track of their their address, their phone number, their email. And so when they ultimately come into the office, fill out the new patient form, and get into the practice management system, ProSites ROI triangulates all that information and says, you're that person who called 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and now it'll track all the way to show you, the doctor, how much production you've done from that, campaign or that marketing channel. It's pretty amazing. And this, if you wanted to know like what I think the big thing is that's going to be huge in like 2016 and going forward, it's proving measurable practice growth. Now that's our mission statement, right? Watch for other people to start using that term, Howard, because everybody in the website industry, many of them say the same thing. A lot of them can't deliver on their promises, but they all say the same thing. Oh, we got great websites. Oh, we're going to get you on the top of Google, right? Well, prove it. Okay, we're proving it, and everything that we're going to be doing, and this is something that I've talked about with my entire team, all the new things that we're going to be coming out with over the course of the year, we want those things to generate measurable practice growth, new patients. I have a metric. I don't know if I should say this. It's AIC. Like you've heard of PPC and CPC. I have AIC. It's ass in chair. Okay. That's the ultimate metric for a doctor. Are we delivering people to come and sit in your chair, right? That's what it's all about, and we can prove it.
That is awesome. That is just amazing. You opened up another can of worms, so you got to go back. You said Google AdWords. I firmly believe 95% of dentists have never bought a Google AdWord. Do you agree? Disagree? What percent of dentists do you think have personally bought a Google AdWord for their website? Do you do this for your clients?
We do, absolutely. We do PPC campaign management, setting it up.
What's
all
PPC?
Pay-per-click. So Google AdWords, the term for it is pay-per-click. So back in the day, man, when we first started, especially in my lectures, I was telling doctors, I was almost pleading with doctors. I said, you have to do Google AdWords. You have to do PPC, because at the time, it cost you 5 cents per click. Okay? And this is how, for those who don't know what PPC is, I'll give you the briefest overview. Basically, at the top of Google, the top 3 listings, and on the right-hand side, there's a bunch of little ads. Okay, they're about an inch tall by half an inch, or a couple inches if they're on the top wide. And those are advertisements. And those people, those advertisers, those businesses do not pay Google until someone clicks that link. Okay, so back in the day, man, you could have been in New York, right? And you could have had New York dentist come up and put you at the top of Google, right? And it would have cost you only 5 cents a click when someone clicked on that ad. Today, you're looking, if you wanted to come up and have a click for New York dentist, it'd probably cost you 15 to 20 bucks, maybe more, depending on the time of day. And so anyways, long story short, PPC is very important, something doctors should very much consider, because SEO, which is awesome, you got to do it. It's, it lasts a long time. I mean, PPC, once you stop paying Google, it goes away, right? But the benefit of PPC is you can start a PPC campaign today, and your ads could be running on the top of Google today, and you specifically tailor your ads to the high value services that you're offering, so that, like, say for example, you're doing Invisalign, or you're doing dental implants. Okay, try to come up for dental implants in New York, right? I mean, that's going to be hard. I mean, we can do it, but it takes a lot of work with SEO. But with PPC, you can have your ad, if you're willing to bid enough, you can have your ad come up for dental implants New York. And when someone clicks that, that's when you incur a fee from Google. But the beauty of it is it takes them to the exact page on your website that talks about dental implants. And then on our websites, we're going to have some conversion feature, whether it's a video or a form, something that, some call to action. So PPC is very important. But you're right. I don't know if it's 5% aren't using it. I'd say probably, if I had to guess, 20+% of doctors are using PPC, but it's still an opportunity for some. The thing is, it's dangerous when doctors do it themselves. And I'm not saying this as like a sales pitch. The thing is, there's so much to know about PPC, what keywords to use, what ad text to use, what ad groups, where do you want to land, send them to. You don't want to have all of your AdWords campaigns drop them off on the homepage, because if they, in the example, are looking for dental implants, you take them to the homepage and it just says, "Thank you for visiting our website," right? Well, they really wanted to, again, I said earlier, people have the attention span of a fly online, right? So if they're searching for dental implants, they click your ad, you want to take them to your dental implants page, right? So I'll see doctors dropping them off on their homepage. I will do a search for something, and if I search, sometimes I'll search for dental implants in a city because I'm trying to find something for a doctor. I'll see an ad for a plastic surgeon for breast implants. Okay? Well, someone can accidentally click that. That doctor is going to pay $20 for a click. What that doctor failed to do, and dentists do it as well on the inverse, right? They don't use negative keywords. So like if you're a dentist and you want to show up for dental implants or implants, New York City, you want to use negative breast as a keyword because you don't want to show up for breast implants. I see stuff like that all the time. I'll see a search. I'm in Temecula. I'll see a doctor advertising from Nebraska. Well, it's like, dude, you didn't use geo-targeting. You have to change the settings so it only shows the people within your geographical area that have any chance of coming into your practice. So I guess I'd sum it up as like this, Howard, on PPC. Most doctors aren't doing it. Very powerful. You should definitely hire a professional. And if you do it yourself and you don't know what you're doing, you will incur a lot of click fees, and you probably be wasting your money. So it's good to get an expert on that for sure.
Well, with 2 million dentists around the world and only 210,000 dentists on Dentaltown, I'd like to pick your brain on how we could do that for Dentaltown too.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, PPC. I mean, SEO, obviously, they go hand in hand, right? I mean, they do different things, but it's very important. So.
Well, I want you to specifically talk about this. A lot of our podcast people are, younger kids, and they're trying to budget their continuing education. And you're seeing the internet. What are the hot buzzwords? I mean, they can't. They're thinking, should I learn how to place implants? Should I learn how to do Invisalign? Should I be a sleep medicine doctor? Should I? What are the hot buzzwords that maybe some kid listening to this and keep thinking? What is there anything you see getting clicked more than others?
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously it's the things that people that are that they either want to do because it impacts the look, or it's some sort of a vanity thing. Like, I mean, Invisalign, obviously very popular, but you can't use Invisalign in your terms in PPC, for example. But you could still have an Invisalign page on your site. Think about the high value services. Think about the things that are high value that patients normally wouldn't think that you can do. For example, I'm a living example of this. Sleep apnea. So I have sleep apnea. I don't want to use a CPAP machine, and my doctor sells devices, and so he hooked me up with a Herbst appliance, and my wife is very thankful because it also eliminated snoring. But this is exactly what, remember what I said earlier about most patients don't know what you can do for them. Okay, I can assure you, for any doctor that's out there that general practice that can also fit people, or get people set up with a sleep apnea appliance. I mean, if I was a betting man, Howard, I'd say 95% of their patients didn't know that they even did that.
Yeah, I had a patient just 2 weeks ago that came in, new patient. Turns out she's going to my buddy from 4 miles up the street, and because she wanted implants. And I'm like, dude, he's placed 3 implants for every one I've placed, and every time I have an implant question, I call him.
Right.
You need to go back to my buddy.
Right,
And
right,
then, so,
right,
and I told him, I said, how's this lady been going to you for 10 years and had no idea you do implants?
right. Yeah. No, I mean that's the thing. I mean, this gets back to it's not just about attracting new patients. It's about educating your current patients on, the things that you can do for them. And so, it's really important. And the thing on content too, Howard, and this impacts SEO. Look, a lot of I'll see a lot of sites, typically the people coming to us from one of our competitors, they will have a site that maybe has one page in it. The worst thing you can have is no page of procedures. The second worst thing that they do is they just have bullets like we do, crowns, porcelain veneers, teeth whitening, cleanings. Okay, and it's just a bulleted list. Well, that's not going to show up in the search engines for any of those terms because the keyword density on that, Google's going to say, well, what's that page about? I mean, it's not about any specific thing. And so what we do, we have a separate page for every procedure, every treatment item. And it's hundreds of pages, but it's important because that page is going to be keyword rich and focused on a particular topic. And then you don't want to just have like a small paragraph. Veneers are little coverings that make your teeth look great, right? Okay, well, fantastic, but that's not quite enough for Google. And quite honestly, it's not enough for the patients. And so what we do, we take a certain approach to our content. We say, what are porcelain veneers? Reasons for porcelain veneers, and then what's involved in getting porcelain veneers. And it's the perfect balance of content that spoon feeds the search engines, those keyword terms that are going to help that page show up. But then also, equally important is once the patient or the prospective patient gets to the page, they want to know, like, well, what, maybe they heard that they need to get an implant. They're worried. Well, what is what is an implant or what is a veneer, right? Telling them what it is, what's involved, reasons for it, is it's very good, right? I mean that you don't want to. The other thing you don't want to do is make it 20 pages long. Then they're going to get lost. And one of the things that's in my notes that your listeners will be able to see. I talk a lot about layout and how your content's formatted and stuff like that. It's good to use white space, bullet points, H1 tags. I mean, basically bold headers and things like that. You want to make it easy for people to skim and scan your website and easy for them to find what they're looking for. And so all that's in my notes. And there's so much that doctors can do. Now here comes the shameless plug. Or just come to ProSites and then we take care of all that for you, right? That's the easiest way.
And what's your contact information? How does someone call you, email you, or just go to prosites.com?
Yeah, prosites.com. They can go to our website or they can call our toll-free number, which is 888-932-3644.
One more time.
888-932-3644.
Hey, seriously, thanks for being a Townie for 11 years.
I have to look at my business card, Howard, because I don't call my number very often. Make sure I didn't give you some.
What I think's funny is every time a dentist gives me their business card, they have a fax number on there. I'm like, why don't you just write? I'm an old guy. I mean, does anybody use the fax number anymore?
Like we'll put it on, our fax number on there because, we hand it out for, reasons. They'll fax in, patient forms for us to put, on their website and stuff like that. But the more egregious than not having a fax number only or whatever on your business card is they don't have their domain name. And it's just like, hashtag facepalm, like use your domain name on everything. On your voicemail after hours, put it on your business card. If you do any, direct mail campaigns, don't just do the phone number. Put the domain name, the web address on there. It's really important. I mean, put it on your social media pages. And again, I have a whole section about claiming your local listings, and I will look into that for you because you mentioned that. But when you claim your local listings, you get to put your contact info on there, and guess what? You get to put a link to your website. That's an incoming link to your site. That helps you on SEO as well.
You know how you can always tell when a dentist emails you that they're over 60?
How's that?
It's an AOL.com email.
AOL tooth fix. I joke, and I don't know who this person is, but tooth fixer at AOL.com. That's another thing I mentioned in my lectures to doctors is
yeah.
You get everybody in your office and yourself included, right? Ditch the tooth fixer at AOL email address or Dr. 5822 at earthlink.net. You need to have it, Howard at todaysdental.com. That should be your email address, and then that's going to make it easy for patients to remember, right? And it increases your brand too, right? I mean, you are the brand. I mean, unlike a lot of businesses out there, I mean, the doctor is the brand, and so you gotta emphasize that.
Yeah, and they'll even mess that up. It'll be like, instead of like Howard at todaysdental.com, they'll put like H Farran at todaysdental.com. Just uncomplicated. Just make it simple. I like that Dr. Z story you started. She had this long, complicated. I had a good friend like that too. Seo Is from Case Western, and he was telling me that no one could remember his name. And I said, what's everybody call you in your office? He goes, Steve. I just go with Dr. Steve.
Yeah. I mean, if you can get it right. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of domain names are taken, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Okay.
And we get creative on that. We help them. Some doctors, like if they don't have a good domain name or they don't have one at all, because again, some of them aren't online yet, we help them pick the right domain name and get it pointed to their ProSite site.
Well, I hope you build us an online course. I hope you email hogo at dentaltown.com and CC Howard at dentaltown.com. I mean, it sounds like you've already done all the work. If you don't want to wait for him to put up a course, go to prosites.com/MYPO for Market Your Practice Online. Seriously, Lance, congratulations for winning the Townie Choice Award. Congratulations for starting 2 companies and getting them bought by a venture capital. And you're just a hell of a guy.
Howard, I enjoyed talking with you. Again, thank you, Townies. We love you guys. Thank you for voting us #1.